This poem is called Snow. A heavy snow, and men my age, all over the city, are having heart attacks in their driveways. Dropping their nice new shovels with the ergonomic handles that finally did them no good. Gray-headed men who meant no harm, who abided by the rules and worked hard for modest rewards, are slipping softly from their mortgages, falling out of their marriages. How gracefully they swoon, that lovely old-fashioned word, from grandkids, pension plans, vacations in Florida. They should have known better than to shovel snow at their age. If only they'd heeded the sensible advice of their wives and hired a snow removal service. But there's more to life than merely being sensible. Sometimes a man must take up his shovel and head out alone into the snow. The poem is called Unwise Purchases. They sit around the house, not doing much of anything. The boxed set of the complete works of Verdi, unopened. The complete Proust, unread. The French-cut silk shirts, which hang like expensive ghosts in the closet and make me look exactly like the kind of middle-aged man who would wear a French-cut silk shirt. The reflector telescope I thought would unlock the mysteries of the heavens, but which I used only once or twice to try to find something heavenly in the windows of the high-rise down the road, and which now stares disconsolately at the ceiling when it could be examining the Crab Nebula. The 30-day course in Spanish, whose text I never opened, whose dozen cassette tapes I never played, save for tape 1, where I never learned whether the suave American conversing with the sultry-sounding desk clerk at a Madrid hotel about the possibility of obtaining a room actually managed to check in. I like to think that one thing led to another between them, and that by tape 6 or so they're happily married and raising a bilingual child in Sevilla or Dayton. But I'll never know. Suddenly I realize I have constructed the perfect home for a sexy, Spanish-speaking astronomer who reads Proust while listening to Italian arias. And I wonder if somewhere in this teeming city there lives a woman with, say, a fencing foil, gathering dust in the corner, near her unused easel, a rainbow of oil paints drying in their tubes on the table where the violin she bought on a whim lies entombed in the permanent darkness of its locked case next to the abandoned chess set. A woman who has always dreamed of becoming the kind of woman the man I've always dreamed of becoming has always dreamed of meeting. And while the two of them discuss star clusters and Cézanne, while they fence delicately in Castilian Spanish to the strains of Rigoletto, she and I will stand in the steamy kitchen, fixing up a little risotto, enjoying a modest Cabernet while talking over a day so ordinary as to seem miraculous. Family practice. When I taught English as a second language, the whole class sat down every night in the adult education classroom and talked about the strange creature, the big, unruly language I offered them. English sound like plastic click together, said the Vietnamese girl in a voice like bits of breaking plastic. Like lot of cricket everywhere, said the weird kid from Korea, permanently wired to his Walkman. Sound like hit dog with wood stick, suggested the businessman from Oman, who resembled a penguin in the three-piece suit he wore even in the St. Louis summer. Yuriko, who only wanted to please, said, I enjoy English, singing like Nightingale. While our ill-tempered Italian, Mauricio, said simply, sound like shit. And so it went, that wild animal looming around them, clicking like plastic, howling like dog, singing like nightingale, sounding like shit, until one day it lifted its heavy, hairy bulk and shuffled out of the classroom, leaving the door wide open. And there on the varied and ample plain stood America, with its malls and soaring cities, its blue jeans and fast cars full of French fries and breast implants. And all my students were gone, for the strange beast they'd studied for so long had eaten them, each and every one. What I want for my marriage, 1996 to 2000. I want a good night's sleep. I want to get up without feeling that to waken is to plunge through a trap door. I want to ride my motorcycle in late spring through the Elysian fields of the Rocky Mountains and lie once more with Cecilia in the summer of 1985 on a blanket in the backyard of her house in Denver and watch the clouds expand. And it would be great to see my mother alive again at the stove, frying a pan of noodles into that peculiar carbonized disc that has never been replicated. I would like for my ex-wife to get leprosy. Her beauty falling away in little chunks, to the disgust of everyone in the chic cafe where she exercises her gift for doing absolutely nothing. I want world peace. I want to come home one evening and find that Julia, the new assistant professor in the history department, has let herself into my apartment for the express purpose of lecturing me on the history of lingerie. I don't ask for much. A good Merlot. An afternoon thunderstorm cooling off the city as I sit listening to Ella Fitzgerald sing "Spring is Here," so the air goes lyrical and perhaps a stray bolt of lightning strikes my ex-wife as she steps from her car, setting her on fire, to the unqualified delight of the friends she has come to visit, who are thoroughly sick of her self-aggrandizing stories. I want to spark a bowl of Maui Wowie and spend the entire afternoon in my dorm room with Corinne Spellman, trying to remember what we were talking about, wondering whether in fact we had had sex yet. I'd like to sit at the little outdoor restaurant by the lake in Forest Park, talking with my aunt in the humid summer twilight as the hot St. Louis day expires upon the water and the moth-eaten Chinese lanterns glow like faded Kodachrome. We would argue about the great tenor voices of the century, or the causes for the dearth of poetry about the Gulf War, or why my father drank himself into an elegy we never stop revising, while couples on their paddle boats come in from the darkening lake, as they've done since the beginning of time, and children call to each other across the shadowy fields. Yes, that would be nice. I want a good woman with a sweet bosom and a wicked sense of humor. I want to wake up in London on a spring morning and read in the paper that my ex-wife has received a lethal injection, courtesy of the state of Ohio, as part of a citywide program aimed at improving the civic pride of Cleveland. But something has gone terribly wrong, and she's been left in a persistent vegetative state, which everyone agrees is nonetheless an improvement. And it would be wonderful to sit down with Maria at our favorite restaurant in Madrid with some good red wine and listen to her Spanish caress the evening. I want to read that a new manuscript of poetry by James Wright has been discovered in someone's attic, and someone I haven't yet met, in some future I have yet to despoil, has bought it for my birthday. And after the kids are asleep, we sit out in the backyard, a little drunk, and read it aloud to each other, something we often do